Ready to start. So as what I've mentioned, we are going to talk about two things today. The first is article and the second is relative pronoun. So what is an article? Any thought what is an article without taking a look at google.com? Any thoughts, Godfrey and team? Hi, Lord Ski. Okay, any thoughts? What is an article? Okay, while you're typing, just want to thank everyone because I think in the previous 4 sessions we had thousands of viewers on Facebook. As a matter of fact, on session during I think session number 1 we had over 1,000 views on Facebook, and then for session number 2 we had over 3,000 views on Facebook. Session number 3 we had over 1,000 views. Session number 4 I think we had over 1,000 views too. So basically we are growing, and a lot of people may not be able to join today, but there are actually a lot of people who are watching the recorded videos. So we thank everyone for the help. A lot of you here are sharing this post, and we can thank you enough for your support. And that's also your random act of kindness, right? Okay, let's talk about article. Basically, an article is an adjective. Okay, an article is an adjective. And like adjectives, articles modify nouns. Okay, I'll give you an example. An example would be the book is green. Book is our noun. So article, as what I mentioned, articles modify nouns. So in our example, the book is green, we use the article the. Okay? Another example, a caller was irate. I'm sure a lot of those who are working in the BPO industry can relate to this, that in a lot of times we're getting a lot of irate callers. So a caller was irate. So our noun there is caller. Color, not the color, color blue or color green, but we're talking about someone who is calling a call center agent. A caller, all right? A caller is the noun modified by an article, and we use the article here, a. Another example, we have the concern was addressed. So again, the noun there is the concern or concern, right? And the article that we used is the. Okay, so the concern was addressed. The English language, just so you know, has 2 types of articles. Any thoughts? What are the 2 types of articles? Any thoughts? What are the 2 types of articles? All right, type away, ladies and gentlemen. What are the 2 types of articles? Okay, Ma'am Janice, thank you very much for tagging your your trainers. Daghang salamat. Okay, since we have very limited time and we have 2 topics for today, and it looks like a lot of you are unsure of the types of articles, there are actually 2 types of articles. The 2 types of articles are, very good, Godry. And Godry, I will be featuring you in my YouTube channel. I remember I interviewed you. Please do watch out for that. So we have interviewed some agents and team leaders. How are they doing now, 3 months since the start of ECQ and GCQ? All right. So Godry, you are right. There are 2 types of articles. The first is definite and the second is indefinite. When we talk about definite article, this is the article that we're using very often. This is the example. We are using the, THE. That is a definite article. When we talk about indefinite article, these are a, an, and some. A and some. Okay? So we, again, just so you know, we have definite and we have indefinite article, right? So let's have some examples for it to make perfect sense. I'll give an example I'll discuss first, or before I give some examples, I'll discuss first a, or indefinite article a, all right? Or a. A is the singular noun. or it's a singular nouns that are, or we use this for singular nouns that are not specific. Remember indefinite, right? If you're indefinite, that means you're unsure. You're unsure, right? Indefinite. Just like when we talk about love, sometimes you can be unsure. Indefinite, right? So we use this for singular nouns that are not specific, or one of the number of the same objects with consonants or vowels with consonant sound. Example, when I say Cora has a dog. Okay? Cora has a dog. Um, our noun there, we're referring to the dog, right? But if we are not definite of which dog are we talking about, then we use an indefinite article, a. Or I'll give you another example. When I say I work in a factory, okay? The noun there is factory, all right? But we are unsure what factory are we working and what work are we working, right? So we use the indefinite article, a. Or a unit was found. If we are unsure of what unit are we talking about, then we use the indefinite article, a. All right? So again, we use a. This is pertaining to, or if we're talking about singular nouns that are not specific, or one of a number of the same objects, or with consonants or vowels with consonant sound. We use an for singular nouns that are not specific, one of a number of the same objects with vowels or consonants. I'll give you an example. I'll give you 3 examples. First is, can I have an apple? We are not certain and we're not definite of which apple would you like to have. So we use an indefinite article. Okay, so can I have an apple? Or, second example, Lisa is an instructor. Okay? Lisa is an instructor. We are unsure of what Lisa is teaching about, so we use an indefinite article. Or, another one is an honest man was rewarded. Okay, we're talking about we're not talking about a specific man who was rewarded, so we use an indefinite article, an. Okay? So basically we use a and for indefinite articles if we're unsure. Okay? In addition to a and an, we also use some as indefinite article for plural nouns that are not specific with vowels and consonants. So for example, when I say, can I have some nuts? Can I have some nuts? Or when you say, some eggs were cracked. Some eggs were cracked. So we use this indefinite article for plural nouns that are not specific. On the other hand, the refers to or we use the for specific object that both of the person speaking and the listeners know, both for consonant and vowel. So for example, the car over there is fast. So we're talking about a specific and definite car. Okay? So we use the definite article or the definite article the. Or the university is very old, isn't it? So we're talking about a specific university, so we use the definite article the. All right? Now let's go back to indefinite article. If a noun is modified, are you still with me? I believe so. Okay, good. So I'll give you another example. Or again, let's talk about indefinite article. If the noun is modified by an adjective, the choice between a and an depends on the initial sound of the adjective that immediately follows the article. Okay? Example, a complex circuit. Okay? What follows the article a is the word complex. All right? So it's a consonant sound, so therefore we have to use a. If it's a vowel sound, if it's followed by a vowel, then we use an. So example, an unusual problem. Okay, so again, a complex circuit or an unusual problem. A and an are also used to indicate membership in a profession, nation, or religion. Okay, again, we use a and an to indicate membership in a profession, nation, or religion. When you say, I am a call center agent, right? I am a call center agent. I am a quality assurance specialist. Because if we're talking about membership in a position, in a profession, nation, or I am a Filipino. That's an example of a nation, membership in a nation. Or I am a Catholic, right? So if you're talking about membership in a religion, we also use the indefinite article. Or when you say, I am a technician, Jana is an Egyptian, Mike is a Catholic, so we use a and an. Again, always remember we use a and an for memberships in a profession. Or what are our professions here? Say Janice will say, I am a training supervisor. Or we have a lot of trainers here who will say, I am a trainer, right? That is, again, we use the indefinite article if we're talking about membership in a profession, nation, and religion. Okay, so we have some activities here. Can you tell me, it's typing time. Can you tell me what are we gonna use, or what article are we gonna use for these nouns? Number one, if I say girl, are we gonna use a, an, or some? A and some. Type away. Girl. We're talking about indefinite, okay? So let's forget about the definite articles first. Okay, where are your responses? Okay, according to Royce, Jana, correct, a girl. According to Francis, very good. Jaward, very good. It's a girl, right? According to Britney Spears, I am a girl, not yet a woman, right? Sometimes it's good to know some lyrics because those can help us about English. So you check the lyrics from time to time. What about this? Phone research analyst. Are we gonna use a, an, or some? Phone research analyst. Phone research analyst. Okay, our community is getting bigger. We now have over 20 participants for today on Facebook, and we also have participants from YouTube. Shout out to everyone. All right, that is correct. A phone research analyst. Okay, very good. What about this? Alumnus. 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 Okay, that is correct. An alumnus, right? Remember, we use an. We have to consider the next word if we're gonna use a, when we're gonna use a or an. So I am an alumnus of. Okay, very good, very good. All right, let's talk about the definite article. According to Mark Ordidor, for singular form, we can also use the definite article the for singular form. I am the girl in the mirror. So that's pertaining to a specific person in the mirror. I mean, me as a specific person in the mirror. So we can use these articles for a and an for singular, but that can be used for both singular and plural. Okay, but that's very good point you got there, Mark. Thank you. All right, let's talk about definite article. When I talk about definite article, I mentioned earlier that we use the for a definite article. The is used for a specific object that both the person speaking and the listener know, and both for consonants and vowels. So example, we have the car over there is fast. Again, the car over there is fast. Or the university is very old, isn't it? So we had that example, or we have those examples earlier. Now, do not, so some precautions when we're talking about articles, do not use an article with countries, states, counties, or provinces, lakes and mountains, except when collective as the US or the United States, the Netherlands, the Philippines, and so on. So never ever use articles with countries, states, counties, and provinces, lakes and mountains, unless when collective, such as the Philippines. So you say he lives in Washington, near the stores, and George lives in the US. I am living in the Philippines. All right? So never ever use, like for example, Thailand, right? I will go to the Thailand. No, that's wrong. That never ever use article with countries. I want to go to the Japan. I want to go to Japan, right? So again, never ever use articles with countries, states, counties, and provinces, lakes, and mountains, except when collective, just like the Philippines, the US, and the Netherlands. And in addition to that, do not use an article when you are speaking about things in general. Okay? When we're talking about things in general, we don't use, or there is no need to use an article. Example, I like coffee. You're not gonna say I like the coffee because we're talking about something in general, right? Or when you say Brian enjoys reading books. Okay? Brian enjoys reading books. If we're talking about the general. I mean, in general. Or you say Filipinos are hospitable. You can omit the article the. Instead of saying the Filipinos are hospitable, you can say Filipinos are hospitable. Again, if we're talking in a general sense, do not use an article when you are speaking about things in general. Any questions so far before we proceed? Because you see, it's kind of challenging to some. I don't generalize too, but we have a lot of people who are challenged in terms of the usages of articles. In addition to that, do not use an article when you are specifying. Oh, sorry, you have to use an article when you are specifying, all right? Do use an article when you are specifying. Example, if you are specifying, you have to use an article, all right? Say, I like the coffee in Starbucks. Okay, we're talking about a specific coffee in Starbucks. Or you say, Brian enjoys reading the books, so specific to the books, of Paulo Coelho. Okay, so Brian enjoys reading the books of Nicholas Sparks. So we're talking about specific books authored by Nicholas Sparks. So if we're talking about if we're specifying, then we have to use an article. Let's talk about when to use an article when you're using it for the first time or mentioning it for the first time versus subsequently mentioning it. Okay? The first time you speak of something, you use a or an, and the next time you repeat that object, you have to use the. Okay? Example, Gilbert lives in a house, and the house is relatively new and has 4 bedrooms. So if you're talking about a specific thing, for the first time you can use a or an, but subsequently you can use the article the. Or another example, I ate in a Chinese restaurant. I ate in a Chinese restaurant, and the subsequently mentioning the restaurant, you use the. The restaurant was very good. Any comments, questions, or suggestions before we proceed to our next topic today? So I would assume that at the end of today's session, you should be proficient in terms of when to use the articles a, an, some, and the. Any questions, folks? English enthusiasts? So before we proceed, let me remind everyone that the paramount goal of this activity is to reach out to more people, as many as possible. So we are encouraging everyone to please share this video. This is so everyone gets informed and aware of the utilization of the articles. Because once you apply for a BPO company, you will be encountering a lot of questions during assessments and evaluations in conjunction to articles. Na question si Jillian. Let's see. Kung say proper aning a sentence. It's not in relation daw to the topic, but fill up the form or versus fill out the form. Thank you. I have a guest actually. Maulaw daw siya. Maulaw daw siya. Okay. If you're filling out if we're talking about the form, then you need to fill it out. You fill out the form. Okay? Filling up is when you add something, right? Let's fill up. Filling out is when you're accomplishing something. So the right to use is fill out the form instead of fill up the form, and that's a common error as well. That whenever you go to the bank or whatever, or wherever you go, they ask you to fill out the form. It's not fill up the form, but it's fill out the form. Hi to my very dear friend Ferdy. I know you're with us. Thank you very much. And I haven't seen Sir Roland tonight. Where I wonder where he is, and also Sir Ken. I don't know where they are. But I hope that helps chill. Any other questions before we proceed with the second topic for tonight? And Sir Ferdy, I hope that your teachers can participate in our sessions. The session is just about 40 to 45 minutes, and it happens twice a week. So we're trying to help them in one way or another to learn more about the principles in English. So I hope that you can also invite them. And to those who will be taking English proficiency test, or probably those who are taking civil service examinations, if you have that in mind, or licensure examination for teachers, you can revisit our previous videos. You'll learn more about the English language. All right. Okay, so let's move on. Daghan tag viewers karon. Thank you very much. Let's move on to the relative pronouns. And these, just so you know, these are used to introduce adjectives, adverbs, or phrases, or we call it relative clauses that give additional information about a word or a phrase in the main clause. Okay? Some examples of relative pronouns include who, whom, whoever, whomever, whose, that, which. We use relative clauses to give additional information about something without starting another sentence. For example, when you say Jerome is a trainer, instead of starting another sentence, we use relative pronouns. So you say Jerome is a trainer who facilitates free English training online. So instead of starting a new sentence altogether, then you can use a relative pronoun. And by combining sentences with the relative clause, your text becomes more fluent and you can avoid repeating certain words. Okay? I'll give you an example for it to make perfect sense. When I say the car that is red caught my attention. Okay? The car that is red caught my attention. Okay? Referring to the car, it is color red. Or when you say the man stole my heart. The man who stole my heart left me. Ouch. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, huh? The man who stole my heart left me. Or when you say the painting, comma, which is 100 years old, comma, amazes me. So the painting amazes me, and the painting is 100 years old. So instead of two words, we use actually a relative pronoun in one way or another functions like a conjunction, connecting two sentences. So instead of having another sentence, we use relative pronouns to connect two sentences. Now let's talk about that and which. These are, I think we get perplexed and confused as to when we use that and which. That and which are both used when the antecedent is an object, a place, a group, or a thing. So take note of this, because there are a lot of people actually who don't know how to use when to use that and which. So again, we use these when we're talking about the antecedent that is an object, a place, a group, or a thing. Okay. I think the common error is when you say I am handling a team. I think I've heard it in so many times. I'm handling a team who, parang ganon. So a team is not a person, right? So you should not use who, but we should be using that or which. Example, a team is a group, so we use that or which instead of using who. And we'll discuss who later on, but that and which shall be used for objects, place, group, or thing. Example, my car that is blue goes very fast. Okay, so referring to a thing, so we use that. My car, which is blue, goes very fast. So we can both use that and which for objects, places, groups, and things. Now, we use that with restrictive clauses. A restrictive clause is one that limits or restricts the identity of the subject in some ways. And a restrictive clause is one which is essential to the meaning of sentences. If it's removed, the meaning of the sentence will change. Okay? We use that, as what I've mentioned, with restrictive clauses. Example, chairs that don't have cushions are uncomfortable to sit on, or card games that involve betting money should not be played in school. All right. So just to simplify, if we're talking about object, we're talking about a place, a group, or a thing. We use that and which. Now let's talk about any questions? Ferdy is currently watching from Chicago, Illinois. So we're going global, right? Hi, Ferdy. All right, I believe we don't have any questions. So we'll move on to when do we use who or whom? Okay, who or whom. For both who and whom, these are both pronouns, and we use who when you are referring to the subject of the clause. We use whom when referring to the subject of the clause. Again, we use who when you are referring to the subject of the clause, and we use whom when referring to the subject or to the object of the clause. So what's the difference between subject or the object? Because we use who for subject and whom for object. Subject is the doer of the action. Okay? Subject is the doer of the action, and object is the receiver of the action. Take note of that. We use who for subject, and subject is the doer of the action. We use whom for the object, and the object is the receiver of the action. We also use who when you are referring to the subject of the clause. We use whom when we're referring to the object of the clause. So example, can you tell me? Okay, I have some examples here and type it if it's who or whom, okay? Remember, who is to subject, whom is to the object, all right? This one, he is the one who or whom ate the cake. Can you type it? Who versus whom? Hi, Daryl. Nice to see you. So, which of the two should we use? Are we going to use who or whom? Type away. Is it who according to Daryl? Who? Okay. Remember, we use who for subject. We use whom for object. Okay, Roy said who. Very good. Who according to V? V, I missed you. Nice to see you too, Daryl. Jane said who. Very good. I think we all got it right. The correct pronoun to use is who, okay? But again, take note of this because a lot of people, including the managers, are having difficulty as to when to use who or whom, all right? If we're referring to a team that is not a person, so we don't use who or whom, right? We use which or that. Okay, let's have another example. When I say the or let's try this one. Amy is the girl who or whom I am driving to Maine. Amy is the girl who or whom I am driving to Maine. Is it who or whom? Type away. Amy is the girl who or whom I'm driving to Maine. Okay. Aimee is the girl who I am or whom I am driving to Maine. Okay, it looks like a lot of you got it right. The correct answer is whom. Again, we use whom if we're referring to the object of the clause, right? So Aimee is the girl who or whom I am driving to Maine. Let's have one more example. Lisa is the person who or whom I trust the most. Lisa is the person who or whom I trust the most. Lisa, again, we use who when you are referring to the subject of the clause, and whom when you are referring to the object of the clause. Subject versus object. Lisa is the person. Are we talking about the subject or the object of the clause? What do you think? Okay, we're talking about Lisa as the subject here. So Lisa is the person who I trust the most. So the correct answer is who. Okay. All right, so any questions so far with our topics covered for today? We have covered the articles. We talked about the definite and indefinite articles. So by now, you should be proficient in terms of when to use a, an, some as indefinite articles, and the for definite articles. Definite article. So we use a and an for singular articles. So these are singular articles. And in addition to that, we can use that too for singular, right? For plural, we use the, all right? Okay. And also we talked about relative pronouns. So you have to consider the object, or if we're talking about a thing, if we're talking about a group, then we use that and which. But if we're talking about a person or the subject or the object, then we use who and whom. Okay. So for today, I don't want to overwhelm everyone with a lot of information. Slowly but surely, we're learning the ropes and the principles and the tenets of the English language. And I hope that you will continue to follow, to support this initiative. And kindly again, please share this video so we can reach out to more people. Again, the goal is, this training is not solely created to help you guys but to help those who need in English. So mas daghan na itong ma-reach out, the better, no? Because a lot of people really want to be part of the BPO industry, but it looks like they don't have that opportunity to work in the BPO industry because of the lack of communication skills or because of the lack of skills in English in totality. So hopefully you are with me in this journey and in this battle cry of being the change that we want to see in this world. So hopefully you're gonna share this video, and kindly, pretty please, to those who have not liked my YouTube channel, please like it so you can revisit some of our previous discussions. So today we have just devoted some 50 minutes to learn about the articles and the relative pronouns, and time flew so fast. We only have 5 minutes left, and it looks like my sister is also will also be having her class to support Vietnamese, I believe so, and she's gonna be using the net too. So I will be so let's call it a wrap for today. We will have We will have another raffle and questions, mag Q&A na punta in our next meeting na lang because I don't have the luxury of time today. And I also want you to celebrate your Saturday night with your family and with your friends. So let's call it a wrap for now. I'll see you Tuesday next week. We'll talk more about the principles of the English.